Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And as you know, the Her Story Circle movement is all about women's empowerment. We look for women with amazing life stories from business and entrepreneurship, health and wellness, family and relationships, creativity, social justice, spirituality. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another creative sister. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Dr. Radhia Afif. I am 34, I think. Yes, I am 34, and I am based in Charlotte, North Carolina. So, my story really started back in 2016, I would say. So, in 2016, I was pregnant with my twin daughters. Around 4 months, I learned that my cervix was shortening and I got put on bed rest. And it was just a very scary experience for me. So, about a week after I got all of this information, I was on bed rest, doing everything I needed to do. I went to my doctor's appointment and I found out that I was in labor. So the doctor asked, she said, "Do you want me to call an ambulance or do you want to just go to the hospital?" And I actually decided to drive myself to the hospital. I don't know why I was in so much pain, but I did drive myself there. And long story short, I did lose my twins. One twin was born stillborn, the other one was born alive, but the doctors did not save her. And honestly, every day after that, I just couldn't believe that was my life. That's what I was going through. And outside of my boyfriend at the time, I didn't really talk about it too much with other people because I didn't feel like they understood. People were checking on me in the beginning, but after that, it's just kind of like it didn't happen. Like people weren't mentioning it, people weren't talking about it. And a few years later, I actually had my first panic attack. So I was at an Angel Mother's brunch and my chest just got really tight. I've never had a panic attack before. I was so scared. I didn't know what was going on. I just felt so tight. I had to get water, I had to get air. And I realized that I didn't really go through the grieving process. I never really got help. So at that point, it was probably about 2020. I decided, let me go to therapy, let me get some counseling so that I can get through this because all my life I've been superwoman. I've been strong. I've been just pushing through even when I was kind of breaking down in the inside because I just had to keep going. I had to go to school. I had to go to work. I had to do things. I really only took 2 weeks off after losing my daughters and went right back to work. So let's go back to therapy. I started therapy. My therapist was helping me with some coping strategies and talking about maybe starting a family again, because, of course, that's something that I was afraid of. But all of that is really what started opening my mind to different things. So I wasn't at the point in my journey in 2020, but it was the point of kind of unlocking that journey. So let's go to 2021. In 2021, I woke up one day, honestly, and I just felt like my world had opened up. Like my mind was open and I said, listen, you've been settling for too long. You've went through like the scariest thing in life, losing my daughters. And, I could have died in that moment. But it was just at that point in 2021 or like late 2020 that I really was like, I can't settle anymore. I have to really live my life for me. I have to stop hiding myself. I have to stop suppressing my feelings. And so I just started thinking about everything I was fearful of doing. And I started checking those things off of my list. I moved out of my house that I lived in for 9 years. I cut my hair off. I ended my relationship. And now I'm living in a whole new state. I never thought I would move away from family and friends, but I moved. I moved away from everybody who was close to me. I moved away from my comfort zone and I left my full time job. So I just made a lot of changes because I knew that I deserved to have the life that I wanted. So many times in my life, I was really living for other people, getting the house. My mom said, get a house, you need to buy a house. Getting a good job, going to college. I went all the way through to get my PhD. And that was really because that was what I was supposed to do. But when I really started thinking about, okay, what do you want for yourself? That kind of changed a little bit. So now I'm doing a few different things. I'm teaching a goddess workshop, which is a dance class. I love to dance. And when asked, like, if you could do anything in the world and not have to worry about money, what would you do? And I said, dance. So I've been doing that for about a year and a half. And it's really a place for women to kind of take off all of those hats and be safe and judgment free and build that confidence. So that's something I was nervous about. I didn't know if my family would accept it. I didn't know how people would look at me like, hey, she's a doctor, she's educated and has this good job, but she's going to go and teach twerking. But it's just so much more than a dance. It's really about healing, community, feeling comfortable in my own body and helping other women feel comfortable as well. In addition to that, I'm coaching women on how to take off the cape. Don't call me Superwoman. And you don't answer to the title of Superwoman. We have to show up more vulnerable in our lives, be able to ask for help, be able to get in touch with our feelings, and also to go for what we deserve without being afraid of that. So, yes, my story started back in 2016, and I am kind of in the thick of my journey right now. But I am so grateful for everything that I've been through, for my own healing and my own growth, and then also to share my story with other people so that you're able to see that we are similar, that we have similar journeys, and that you can get through whatever you're going through at the time. So, we're not going to get past it, but we're going to get through it and work through those things so that we can come out on the other side as better people. That is my story.
Absolutely wonderful, wonderful story. And my sincere condolences for the loss of your twins. You
Thank
know,
you.
a lot of women go through these traumatic experiences, and the healing process is not easy. I can't
Hmm.
imagine what it was like for you having carried those two babies and to lose them in that way. If there is another woman who's listening to this interview right now, going through a similar challenge, based on what life has taught you up to this point, if you could go back to the younger you and give her just three nuggets of wisdom on how to navigate the space, what would you say to her?
Um, I would definitely say use your support system. I had a lot of people around me that I believe were willing to support me, but I kind of kept myself in a bubble. There was a point where I was maybe embarrassed or, I was like, well, what did I do wrong? And things like that. So I didn't always talk about it with everybody, but definitely use your support system. The second thing I would say is just honor the life of your baby. I honored my girls. I created memory boxes for them. I talked about them often with my boyfriend and what they would be like. And that really brought me a lot of comfort. And I would say three, just have grace with yourself. You're going to go through cycles. Days you're going to be okay. Days you're going to be, sad or crying or upset. And that's fine. Give yourself grace and take that time to go through those emotions and those feelings.
Yeah, they say that our emotions are like our children. When they come, we shouldn't push them away. You just have to
Mhm.
sit with the sadness, sit with the grief for a while, and to allow yourself to grieve as well, because people will tell you that you need to get on with it, you need to get over it. You do it at your own pace, at your own time. Now, I know you're passionate about helping women lean into their vulnerability.
Yes.
A lot of times we put up the front, we act strong when we are not feeling that way. Why is it important for a woman to be vulnerable, do you think?
I think it's important to be vulnerable because it shows other people that they can help you and they can support you. When you pretend to be so strong or you pretend like you don't need anyone's help, you don't get that community that's going to support you and that's going to help you through certain things. So being vulnerable allows for that to happen. It allows you to build trust with people, and then it also just allows you to show up authentically. You don't have to send a representative. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. You can show up as yourself authentically when you're vulnerable. So that's why it's important.
Very, very true. Now, you have moved on and you are now empowering other women. I saw an acronym on your coaching business, the word CAPE. What does that acronym stand for? Tell us about how you're coaching and supporting other women.
Yes, taking off the cape and overcoming that cape mentality. So the C stands for control. So sometimes we always want control of things as we are stepping into that superwoman role, right? We want control of things that are going on. We want to do everything for ourselves and not ask for help. So it's kind of examining that control that we have and how to release a little bit of that in a healthy way. The A is for anxiety. I know I've had a lot of anxiety, walking in that role as superwoman, sorry. So when I think about the anxiety, it's like, what are the root symptoms of that anxiety? What are the triggers of that anxiety? And really exploring that so you start to create healthier routines. The P is for perfectionism. I suffer a lot. I don't know if I have any other Virgo women out there, but we are very particular. And I have suffered a lot with perfectionism and thinking that everything has to be a certain way. And that also kind of relates back to the stress and anxiety, but looking at the perfectionism and how we can change our mindset around that. And then E is expectations, the expectations that you have of yourself. Sometimes we have these super high expectations. Again, we need to do everything by ourselves. We need to handle everything. We can't, be vulnerable with people. So, looking at those expectations of self and expectations of others that we consider friends or family and things like that. And what I do is I coach Superwoman on overcoming that cape mentality and really focusing on shifting the mindset and shifting behavior patterns that will increase, their healthy lifestyle, like their patterns and behaviors and routines and things like that. So that's what I'm doing in the coaching world.
I absolutely love it. Very, very empowering. Now, the use of movement to help you feel better. A lot of times when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling sad, you just want to stay still. You just want to stay in one place. And what ends up happening is you trap all of that energy within your body, right?
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about movement and dance and how it can enhance your well-being, your mental well-being.
So I would say for myself personally, and then I'll speak generally, but personally, I've always loved dance, like I mentioned before. So anytime I hear the music and I'm moving, I'm connecting with myself. I'm connecting with the movements that I'm doing in my mind. I'm connecting with myself there. And it just really increases my energy. It makes my mood go up. no matter how I'm feeling. So that's the reason why I wanted to bring that to other women. So when we dance, especially in a community of women, you are sharing a space of energy. So if you have some stagnant energy that's just sitting there, you're moving that energy along or moving it out if it's unwanted. Or you are increasing that energy throughout your body. So you're moving, you're feeling that movement, you're feeling the energy of yourself increase, but also the people around you that are sharing that space, encouraging you, supporting you, and loving on you within that space. That's why I like to do the goddess workshops. And within that space, in addition to dance, we're doing affirmations, we're setting intentions, we're also breathing. These are all ways that we're connecting with the mind, the body, and the spirit because they're all working together and connected to improve our mental health, our physical health, and our spiritual health.
That is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I'm a bit of a dancer myself. I must say, I haven't done my traditional African dancing for a while. I've just moved to Melbourne, Australia, and I've been thinking of starting a
Mm,
dance group for the very same reason. So I collapsed with heart failure in 2017 and have been thinking of, ways to shake off the weight that I've actually put on.
mhm,
And you've just reminded me that maybe I should start empowering other women to move, to dance. And again, like you said, it's fun. Once you
mhm.
get into the rhythm of that music, you get back into your skin.
Yes,
So
yes. And
I
boost
know,
your confidence.
yes, I know the feeling. So this is just absolutely awesome that I'm meeting you today, and you're kind of reminding me of things that I know, right? So this
Yes,
is why these stories are so important, because we know these things. We've done it before, we've tried it before, but you get so occupied with just survival and you forget. So thank you so much for waking me up today.
you're welcome.
Let's talk a little bit about your book. You've recently published a book. What is it called? And what is the book about? What can people expect?
August is called Don't Call Me Superwoman, an exploration of divine intervention, self love, and alignment. So the book talks about my life. It talks about my spiritual journey, my spiritual awakening that I talked about a little bit earlier. You know, how I woke up one day and my world just felt bigger. But then I really go back too to how I was raised, the examples I had in my family of being a strong woman or hiding your emotions, or how I'm the oldest on my mother's side and female, and how that played a part in kind of taking on that mother role in the relationship with my brothers, doing well in school and being called the golden child, and how that kind of impacted me in a negative way. Although I liked the attention and I like to do well, it was hard for me to fail because I was put on a pedestal. So my book just really talks a lot about how my past has brought me to where I am today, and how I'm healing and how I'm growing, the lessons I've learned, and things that other women can implement in their lives right now so that they can go through their healing process and have the tools that they need.
That is awesome. Yeah, we're always seeking inspiration, we're seeking guidance, we're trying to find
Mhm.
ways that we can do things better and grow, both
Yes.
mentally, physically, and spiritually. So this is really, really quite empowering. Now, I know that self-care is another one of your passion topics. A
Yes.
lot of women don't know how to do this. We give and we give until we can give no more.
Yes.
Tell me, why is self-care so important for women to pay attention to and focus on?
So if we think about it like a glass of water, right? We have one glass of water and then other people have their glasses. So if our glass of water has nothing in it, there's no way we can pour into other people. So when we think about self-care, that's how we want to think about it. Until our glass is full, we can't really pour into other people. We are the foundation in our lives. We are the thing that keeps us going. So self-care is important because it's going to help you manage those situations where you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling maybe burnt out at times, you're feeling stressed. When you implement the self-care, it's going to help you work through those things. So it's not saying that they won't ever happen because you're engaging in self-care, but the intensity is going to be decreased because you feel balanced, or you feel whole, or you feel just at a sense of peace with yourself. And I don't know if you asked me this question, but I'm going to talk about it. Some things that I do for self care. I work out because I want to be in shape. I don't want to breathe heavy when I'm walking up the steps or, doing certain things. I make sure I eat a certain way so that I have energy to get my tasks done throughout the day. I meditate. I journal so that I'm not in my head all day over analyzing things. These are the things that I implement for my personal self care. And a lot of times people get caught up in, I'm going to get my nails done, I'm going to get my feet done, I'm going to go shopping. Yeah, those might be things that make you happy, but that's not necessarily self care. Because if a situation comes up where you're stressed or anything like that, shopping is not necessarily going to solve the problem or help you deal with it. It's just going to help you feel better in that moment. So you want to make sure you're laying those foundational pieces. Like I said, working out, eating healthy, journaling, meditating, going to therapy, having a support system so that you can really get to some solutions and be able to handle those situations as they come along.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I know that I have failed in my life to, look for help in terms of
Mm-hmm.
therapy. I've coped with some pretty challenging life experiences and
Mm-hmm.
just keep going. I know I could have preempted my heart failure. I had gone
Mm-hmm.
through a divorce after 27 years of marriage,
Oh,
and I'd
wow.
lost everything. And I kept going. I just kept going, trying to be strong.
Superwoman.
And
Mm.
then I found myself flat on my back in a rice field in Bali. I collapsed with heart failure
Wow.
while I was on holiday. So,
Wow.
health and wellness is a very important thing for me now. Your health is your wealth. Once you lose
Yes.
your health, it's so
Yes.
difficult to get back on your feet. So, what can we do to preempt getting knocked down completely in a physical way? Now, I know that you also help women break generational curses,
Mm-hmm.
things that have happened in the family. Tell me a little bit about that and what that means and what you do to help in that realm.
So, for generational curses, I really look at that as patterns of behavior that we've learned from our parents, mom, grandmom, aunts, whoever the case may be. So, it's really things that we saw them do that we also have implemented in our lives. So, when I think about breaking the generational curse, I really look at what are the things that my mom did or grandmom did or aunts did that I saw and I'm repeating, but they're not benefiting my life currently. So there are some things that do benefit my life that I'm going to take on, but there are also things that I feel like, that's not really benefiting me. Being strong, hiding my emotions, those things are not benefiting me in my life and the relationships that I want to have. So I'm able to have that self reflection and self awareness and be able to say, okay, this is what I want to change. So when I work with other women, I kind of help them to do that self reflection and really like talk it out, journal about it, and think about the ways that they want to lead their life, what kind of lifestyle they want to create, whether it's behavior or mindset or anything like that. And then we kind of take it from there and say, okay, if this is what you want to do, first, let's go back to where you may have learned it so we can find the root of that. And now let's implement certain patterns, certain behaviors, certain routines so that you can move forward from that. Because we don't have to be like our parents. Yes, we love them. Yes, they did the best job, with what they had. But sometimes it's been a few generations of these habits being passed down. And for me, and then I'm going to pass that down to my children, who will then pass that down to my grandchildren and keep that cycle going.
Yeah, and you're right. We also have to acknowledge that those who came before us did what they did with the knowledge that they had.
Yes.
and their programming becomes our programming. And sometimes we do it so unconsciously, we're not even
Mhm.
aware we're replicating and repeating history, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And but you do catch yourself every once in a while and you're like, oh gosh, I'm like my mom or I'm like my grandmother. So once you catch yourself, you can correct it. You can correct the course. I love that. And I also work a lot with people around ancestral memory. You know, sometimes
Mm.
there are things in our DNA that is so deep rooted, you're not even aware it's there. I'll give you an example. I've been one of those people who knows how to make money. I'm very, very good. I'm creative. I come up with ideas to make money, but I can never keep it. So
Mm.
see somebody who is in need, who needs money, who needs help, I just give it away. I feel guilty to have money in the bank and somebody else needs help. And I know it comes from my grandmother. She was one of those people who would give away the last morsel of food that we had in the house.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh.
I was born in a grass hut with no electricity, no running water. And if my grandmother saw somebody passing our hut, like they're traveling, carrying goods, she would
Mhm.
call them into the house. She would give them the meal she's cooked for us. And she would say, no, they need
Oh.
the food more than we do because they're traveling. They need the energy. And we would sleep
Mhm.
on empty stomach some days.
Wow.
And that's how generous my grandmother was, right?
Wow.
And so I find myself doing the same thing. And the guilt that I feel when I have savings, it's like, oh, I can't keep this. Else needs it. I'm working very, very hard to try and break that cycle. But I love the fact that you're focused on generational curses. These are things that can be programs that run in our subconscious and we're not even aware of it. So now
Agreed.
let me end my interview with this question. If time was an illusion and I could take you back, no, actually, let me take you forward into your future.
Ooh.
You are now 100 years old.
Wow.
You're sitting on your porch in your rocking chair, watching the sunset, surrounded by your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. And the current you could go into the future and have a conversation with this wise woman. Based on how you're living your life right now, what would you say to her?
Ooh. I think I would just give her flowers, to be honest, because the journey is beautiful, but it's not always easy. And I would really give her flowers for continuing to do the work and not just taking the easy way out and staying comfortable in situations, but being able to step up, being able to take up space, being able to make those changes, even with a lot of fear, and a lot of anxiety inside. And I would just like give her a big hug and just be super grateful, honestly. Super grateful.
The reason why I like to ask that question is that a lot of women don't realize that that wise woman is already in them,
Mm-hmm.
already here. Time's just an illusion, and she guides us. You know, I tap into the energy of the future me, especially when I'm
Mm-hmm.
struggling with something. I go into my meditation and my prayers, and I ask myself questions. You know, what is the next step? What am I supposed to do next? And I get these whispers, I get these knowings, and I wake up
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, where did that come from? And the solution is already in all of us, right? We
Yes.
don't realize our own power. We don't realize that we come with the wisdom already. So I love to ask women that question, just to remind everybody who comes onto my show that you were born with all of the knowings, all the knowledge you need to achieve all of your dreams. So trust
Yes.
yourself, trust your intuition, trust your gut. So thank you so much for coming online today and gracing us with your wisdom and your presence. And
Thank you.
thank you to everybody who's tuned in. Her Story
Thank
Circle
you.
is attracting some phenomenal women. It excites me to wake up every day and do these interviews. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview another amazing woman. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And thanks again for this interview.
Thank you.
Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep